All right, Tim, let's break down some of the tape. We'll hit a couple more comments, and I just want to look at a couple key plays and what happened when they happened. But Cheddarhead, how about Brenton Cox yesterday? Absolutely, man, lighting it up. He's becoming a fan favorite real quick, Tim. He really is. Yeah. He got a lot of snaps too, man. Matter of fact,
that was probably the most snaps he's had this year, right?
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's look and see exactly how many he had. Yeah, he had 22 snaps.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. So obviously, Quay Walker was 72, Xavier McKinney was 72, Evan Williams 71, Keyshawn Nixon 71, Carrington Valentine 64. Let's go. And I know he struggled at times. I tell you what, he's willing to stick his nose in there on those runs off the edge, and that's if that's his superpower, you build up the weak spots of his game, knowing that hey, you got a little extra run defense there off the edge. Maybe he'll work out into something. It's obvious the Packers are giving him plenty of snaps. Now, it wasn't part of the plan, I don't think, going into him. I think they were planning on Jair Alexander at least playing half the snaps, but obviously he tried to go left with a knee injury. He only had 10 snaps on the day. So it's kind of interesting to see how these shake out here. Edgerrin Cooper, though, look at it, Tim, 53, man. Let's go.
Yeah, he's here. He's arrived. We're not going to see any more, 15 snap games out of him anymore. He's here. He's arrived.
And it's frustrating. Listen, I don't want to pile on Quay, but I know there's been many comments in the chat. We want to be respectful. Obviously, we don't want to be those people that that are going to say something that you wouldn't say to a player's face. That's always my rule, Tim. I've told you guys this. I've told everyone who comes on the show. If you wouldn't say it to their face, you're not going to say it on my show. And that's how I try to treat Twitter as well, right? Is don't be chicken blank. You know what I mean? Just don't be it, right?
And criticize the play all day. It's fine. It's fine to point out flaws in the play, but we're not gonna dump on the person, on the player.
Yeah. And the reality is it looks like Edgerrin Cooper is trending towards being that number one backer. I think he'll eventually take over that 72 snap, and Quay may sink out to the one underneath. But again, there's a lot more that goes into it about the green dot, this and that. We'll show a low light reel that Andy Herman put out earlier today. And it's what I seen yesterday too. Again, coverage vertically, Quay's one of the best in the league to do it. But everything in between, it's just not clicking. But anyway, Javon Bullard, 52 snaps. They're playing the slot. Kenny Clark, 47 snaps. Rashawn Gary, 46. Kingsley Enagbare, 41. So what that tells you is your two top edge defenders right now are Kingsley Enagbare and Rashawn Gary, okay? Now, when you go down and find the next edge defender, it's Lucas Van Ness at 25 and Brenton Cox Jr. at 22. So that's interesting. That's probably the pecking order right now. And Kingsley Enagbare, I thought, had a pretty good game, Tim, at least on the surface. That one sack where Caleb escapes, I don't know what he was doing. Jumping on
high. He went too high on him, it looked like, and Caleb just ducked underneath him. Yeah.
And if he makes that play there, he's the hero of the game.
Oh, yeah. That would have been absolutely clutch right there. Would have shut the door for sure.
Definitely. So we'll get into the snap counts of the offense and everything a little later as well. Fidel Smith, why not any spying on Williams? I could not understand it. And listen, I got to go back and watch the tape again. I made my first pass through today, so I watched every TV copy snap yesterday, and now I watch all 22s today. And then I got to go through and put Chalk Talk together to make the third pass through. I don't know, man. On the surface, it's like the touch spy was gone. And I really expected them to press into that yesterday. Instead, early on, we started blitzing.
Yeah, I kept seeing Quay, and I'm thinking, that's the guy you have spy Caleb, right?
Right.
And then he's mugging, and I'm like, oh, he's going to come out. He's going to fall out.
He's going to go touch spy, right?
Yeah. And then, no, he's coming every time, and it's just like, it was tough to watch.
They had him bail completely out, and it was just – and that's why you seen Caleb run wild. It felt like Tommy DeVito again from last year. By the way,
we're getting the underneath throws. We saw that too. Yep.
And Tommy DeVito was named the starter in New York today, so the Daniel Jones experiment is over, evidently. It's an expensive one, too, let me tell you, buddy.
Yeah. And only a year late for them on that.
I get pissed off every time I hear Tommy DeVito's name. Every time, Tim, this is my reaction right here, man. I can't stand the thought of it. So, but I don't know if we're on the same page there, buddy. I thought they would do. And me, not so much even the traditional spying like Tim was talking about. It was more of the touch spy with the defensive lineman. I didn't see much of that. And again, I'm gonna really look for it on the end zone cam when we go back through today. But let's see here. Badger Trio in the chat says Josh Jacobs telling Bears defenders to come hit him was wild. Also, Jacobs is a dog. That's a great point. Tim, did you see that clip?
Oh yeah, when he was running on the sideline and he just pointed.
It was Jalen Johnson too. He went, "Come on."
He was like, "Come on, man, come on."
over here.
And then lowers the shoulder and picks up the extra yard and a half. I love it.
Yeah. Jalen Johnson ends up on his face, ass in the air, turning the opposite direction, and Josh Jacobs just scampers out of bounds there. It's just, oh man, I love that dude. He's becoming the heart and soul of this offense, no doubt. Absolutely. I love that he's a quiet leader too, for sure. All right, so let's get to a couple of plays here. If you want to keep marking stuff in the chat, Tim, as we go through, if you see something you like, and we'll keep them involved, as we're obviously going to take this for 2 hours. You guys would take a quick second, hit that like button. Feel free to sub to the channel. Appreciate y'all. So this play here, I put this tweet out earlier today. I wish I could get it zoomed in a little bit more for y'all. It's about all I can do, though. Fourth quarter, 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to play. Jordan Love steps right into a buzzsaw to deliver this ball so Christian Watson can make a diving catch, then turn it into a 60-yard play, setting up the game-winning touchdown. So I'll try to zoom in now that we've read that. But, Tim, this play right here, man, this is everything. I want you to key in. We went super slow motion here for this too. Watch Jordan. He's going to step right into this. Josh Myers gets beat like a drum. Watch him step right into that throw. And then scoot with the catch on the backside. And then going, oh, yeah, I didn't get touched. Let's just take this for another 40 yards here. Phenomenal play. Let's take it back to the pass. Again, watch Jordan stepping into this. Tim, this is the type of stuff that Jordan has been missing. And when you see him do that, step into a throw like that, knowing he's just going to get his clock clean with the game on the line. And was it a perfect throw? No. But he put it where only his receiver could catch it, which is what we've been complaining about, right? Like, let's make sure we protect the football. Just all the way around, man. What a play by Jay Love and Christian Watson here, man.
Yeah, pressure right in his face. Like you said, he's able to step into it, throw a laser. And, yeah, it ain't the best pass in the world, but I'll tell you what, it was a safe one. And we've been talking about that with Jordan putting some of these balls in some precarious locations. This was a great throw. This is called throwing a guy open, really. Yep. I mean, and Scoot, man, what can you say about Christian Watson that we haven't already said? But it's worth saying again. Absolute stud, absolute dog. For all the heat he caught in his first and second year in this league, it's so refreshing to see him have a game like this. And just a hell of a play. And yes, Bears fans, he caught that ball. Quit crying.
I love that he took two Bears out at the end, too. Watch this. I mean, knees one in the face. Watch. Bang. Trips the other one.
So smart in that situation, too. You talk about situational football, right? Real easy to run out of bounds there and stop the clock. That is not what we need in this situation. Great job to cut it back to the inside like this. Yeah,
no doubt, man. Yeah, I was screaming, just turn on the jets. Don't cut it back. Just go up the sideline. Try to get the touchdown. But, hindsight being 2020, you look back and go, you know what? That was the right move. If you make a miss and you score, great. If you get tackled, you're in bounds. The clock keeps running. Yep. And you can kind of limit what they're going to be able to do. So that play there, absolutely huge from Jordan Love and Christian Watson. Now, I think it was the very next play or one of the next plays here is the run by Jordan, where he's trying to get in the end zone, just putting his body on the line. Again, man, I just put QB1, but this right here is what you're looking for in a quarterback. Notice everybody's covered up downfield too as we roll it here. Everyone's covered, right?
Yeah.
And it's, all right, let's just see what we can do here. The safety makes a great play coming in and delivering the hit. And again, was he in, was he not? I don't know. With a better camera angle, maybe we could see. We might be able to see a little bit better right here. You kind of know when the ball goes out. But, again, Jordan just sacrificing his body, man. To me, it looked like he was probably in, to be honest with you.
I don't think there's a debate of did the ball break the plane. The question, like they said, is where was he, when that happened. Yeah. But you're right, because if you run that back, man, the Bears had this play absolutely covered. I mean, this was just great defense, and this is all Jordan Love just seeing it and putting his team on his back and trying to make something happen, because there was really, I mean, maybe you can see Tucker right there. He could have let it go here, but you look at Jordan's helmet, he's looking at his other reads here, and he's got pressure coming. So, maybe if that ball got out, he could have hit Tuck Norris in the flat there, but just a great play by Jordan.
What it looks like the play call was for me too was curl from the X flat. That's what we call curl flat from the T. So it's curl flat, slot cross, and I think it's a Y leak. Yeah, the Y is just going to leak out there. on a little. It's like a reverse spot play. Oh no, he's running a little pivot. See him pivot back in.
Yep.
And again, you're right, man. They covered it completely, but Jordan just like hell with it. Let's see if we can go win this ball game.
Yeah, he had that one little window to hit Tucker Kraft, and even if he gets the completion there, we know Tucker's the yak master, but it wouldn't have been a huge gainer. Just great work by Jordan here. Good job by Tucker there too to try and get in the way towards the end and kind of extend it. Gotta love it.
Yeah, QB1, man, making things happen. You love to see
feel that pressure. He could feel that backside pressure, and that's something he wasn't doing in the past few games. You know what I mean? He was kind of late making those decisions. He got out of there just in time here.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example too, Tim. When we talk about rushing under control, this edge defender is going to get so far out, it's going to allow him to step up and out of the pocket. And imagine if this guy is just kind of pressing the pocket rather than getting out wide. We love sacks, but everybody's always worried about the sacks. Imagine if he's pressing right here and Jordan has to try to throw the ball or throw the ball away. This doesn't happen. Instead, runs himself out of the play. Jordan feels the pressure. Great job. Just a great job getting any. I know he didn't score technically, but that's going to put yourself in a position to run that quarterback sneak, man. It's absolutely huge. So
for sure. Shout out to Nacho Libre on that play too. You see Sean Ryan there looking back like, oh, we're running.
Yeah, we're going, baby. We're going. The thing that stood out to me with Jordan yesterday, there was one bad decision that I can recall, and it was actually a play. I think we've got it here. As a matter of fact, let me see. Yeah, one bad decision that I seen from Jordan. Other than that, he played a good mental game yesterday, right? And that's been the knock with Jordan is obviously he tries to do too much when it's live to play another down. I think this was a 1st and 10 pass here. But you're going to notice Tucker Kraft is going to be wide open. He's going to be running butt naked through the trailer park. And you got to know as a quarterback, first down, just take that check down, right? Instead, think play or not play. He goes to Scoot up top here in double coverage. And again, Scoot just making a hell of a play. Christian Watson just going up and getting it. But you see right there, Tucker Kraft is wide open. And instead, he chooses to go to Christian Watson. What a throw, though. Again, on the run, man, a great throw. You got there, what were we, a nub right there? Yeah, a little 12 nub right. And
speaking of 12, that's where he got this from. We've heard Aaron Rodgers talk numerous times about if I see the nameplate, if I see the back of that jersey, I'm throwing that ball.
Absolutely.
I'm throwing it right at your ear hole. Yep.
Now, as he throws this, right here's what I want you to key on. That was the play that should have been made, right? Yep. Now, it's easier said than done. As he's rolling right, he's also seeing these defenders drifting, right? So it's like, okay, is he going to fade back and cover that? He knows he's got Scoot. You know what? Let's just give a guy a shot to make the play here.
Yep, another Matt LaFleur high-low concept here.
Mm-hmm.
He hit the wrong one, but it worked.
Let's see if we
still
can.
A good throw though. I mean, still a good throw. Not the best decision, but man, he dropped that one right in the bucket, right in between the coverage.
And your tray left, it's basically a 12 ace tray left, nub right. All right, let's see what the passing concept was. Slot cross.
Yep.
You had slot cross, and it was almost they added in a little follow. It's like a shorter climb with the number 3 here from Ben Sims. Mm-hmm. You're going to notice they're all going to kind of work left to right. And you're right. That's definitely a high-low. And then Christian, you know what this looks like, Tim? Remember last week, Tucker, or the week before last, when Tucker Kraft, I think it was, or maybe it was the week before that, it wasn't the Lions game. Tucker Kraft was running that crosser, and he broke off, threw his hand up. It's like he recognized, okay, that crosser is not going to be there. And that's exactly what Christian did here, threw that hand up. That might be why Jordan threw it too. He's trusting his guy, throwing his hand up.
Absolutely.
Scoot just goes in. For Scoot to go grab that ball, man. We've talked about who's wide receiver 1. Listen, what we're talking about with wide receiver 1 is who are you going to pay? You're going to have to pay one of these guys, right? And right now,
it's Christian Watson.
To me, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are the ones making the case. Christian Watson's starting to pull away a little bit because you're seeing him more effective in the run blocking game. You're seeing better hands from Christian than the other guys. Believe it or not, Dobby had a drop yesterday. It sucks because he's got some of the best, if not the best, hands on the team. But Christian Watson making the case for getting that paycheck, man.
I agree. And, in a perfect world, we keep them both, but we know how that goes, right? But yeah, Christian Watson, man, just playing big boy football there. He's known for the speed, the wheels and all of that. But that's just big physical football play right there, refusing to let that ball get picked or broken up, really is what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. As Drew pointed out, it looks like Watson changed his route. He definitely did. It was a slot cross concept. And you could see as soon as he cleared, Ben Sims it was either Ben Sims or I think it was Ben Sims. It might have been Tucker on that side. Whoever it was on this side, on the same side as Christian right here on the left. See, he kind of recognizes we're in the same area. So let me just drift off, right? Yep. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why it's called a climb route. Some people see that and they go, that's a crosser, Clayton. We call it climb because in a climb route, a crosser is just dead set. You know exactly where your brakes are. You're running this route, hell or high water. A climb is you're climbing through the open area. It may be underneath. It may be over top. That's something that Matt LaFleur really, really has embedded in his offense is that climb route. And you see him climb up the field here in Watson. And again, the right throw would have been to Tucker underneath, but man, you trust him down, your guy goes makes a play.
Great adjustment. Watch the end of the route. He changes it twice here, and then he comes back in. So he went flat, and then he kind of went skinny and just kind of weaved in between the two DBs there. It was just incredible by Christian Watson right there. I mean, Jordan putting that ball, you're throwing where your guy's going to be, not where he is, right? And he just kind of threw it to an area, and that's that chemistry we talk about. I think Christian tracked the ball very well, but he did a good job of not running into one of those DBs and, falling on his ass, and then we have an incompletion or a pick.
Yeah. And it's like last year, or I'm sorry, the last game we played against the Lions in the rain, it was Watson can't track the ball. Obviously it was a downpour. Yep. You're not show them this clip when they say Watson can't track the ball. I mean, because that's just,
and he's staring right into the sun too.
Yeah. Right. Hell of a job, man. Hell of a job. All right. So that was a huge play there. And let's see what else we got here real quick. There's a couple other things. Tim, why don't we put a graphic up real quick? And we're going to play a couple of one Bear fans reaction. It's two Bears fans in the same clip here, but it is.
Well, let's get Shug and Tupac on the screen there. Here we go.
So listen, guys, there may be cussing. All right. I can't remember on this one. I think this was the cleaner one I found, but there may be an F-bomb or two. Okay. If there is, first of all, our channel on YouTube is always set up in case knuckleheads like us slip up from time to time. Okay. So we're protected on YouTube, but if you're listening on the podcast or you've got kids in the room, understand there may be some cussing here, okay? So earmuff it, fast forward, throw in an earbud or something. Here we go. A couple Bears fans reacting. Listen, it's going to get loud. I'm going to try not to burst everybody's eardrums, and you're going to hear him react to the Keenan Allen catch that put them in field goal range where they said, all right, that's enough, rather than try to get a few extra yards. But 29 seconds of just absolute glory. Here we go. I just looked in the chat. My bad. Didn't have it on the screen, did I? Here we go. My bad, guys. User error. I seen Drew say can't hear it. This is in all its glory. Sorry about that. Here
Heard
we go.
it from a fan right here.
Yes! I fucking told y'all! Come on! Come on! Finally! Finally!
And it's blocked!
Oh!
Oh my goodness, the Packers block it, and they're gonna win!
Oh! Oh! My God! Why does this always happen to me?
Green Bay survives. The
Why
Bears still suck.
Tim, he said, why does this always happen to me? Because you're a Bears fan. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, it comes with the territory.
Nah, man, it's like saying, man, I like handling snakes and I got bit. You root for a sucky team, sucky things happen. I don't know what to tell you. God, it was gold. And I apologize for being muted the first time, but man, they caught that Keenan Allen catch and it was, I told you. Yeah. Oh my God, man. Victory.
That kind of reminds me. That was like we would watch all those games where a team would get a late score and there'd be 40 seconds on the clock and everyone's celebrating and we're looking like, oh, we're gonna march down and get the dub. Classic celebrating too early from Bears fans. You gotta love it.
It was, man. We tried to warn you. Listen, pick a different team. All right, I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. So
things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
All right, let's talk about the snap count real quick, Tim. We hit on it a little bit earlier. Let's go offense. Sean Ryan, we expected him to play a large majority, if not all the snaps at right guard. That is what happened. 46 snaps for him. Obviously 46 for Jordan. Rasheed Walker, 46 snaps. Elton Jenkins, 46 snaps. Zach Tom, 46 snaps. Josh Myers, 46 snaps. So with Jordan Morgan out, that is your starting O-line. I thought they played pretty well. I don't know how you feel about it, Tim. I think we only took one sack. And I felt like the running game was really effective. We were averaging 6 yards a carry for a long time before they really started to load the box. but offensive line wise, this is what we expected, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think all in all, they played pretty well, and the run blocking did look a little bit better. We saw some good running in this ball game, which is honestly why we were around to get the dub, is because we did. We finally kind of leaned into that run game a little bit. I kept waiting for the moments that we were going to get away from it. We saw some first down throws here and there, but I agreed with them. They were peppered in. We threw in some of those play action looks off of that run game, and a lot of that is a testament to our O-line. Elton Jenkins, I thought, played pretty well, and good to see Josh back out there, at center. And I think you're right. This is going to be the formula going forward without Jordan Morgan.
Yeah. Next, you got Tucker Kraft at 43 snaps. Obviously, he's tied in 1. Josh Jacobs with 37. Since we're talking Josh Jacobs, let's slide down. Who was the next running back? The next one was actually Chris Brooks with 10 snaps.
Yeah, he played well, really well.
Emmanuel Wilson, only 3 snaps. Now people go, oh crap! So Chris Brooks is halfback too. Not necessarily.
No,
he didn't get it. He didn't get a single carry. So those 10 snaps, he was in the passing game, right? And he actually had 2 targets, made 2 catches for 13 yards. So you heard LaFleur, and this is where we all got to, and I got to do better at it too. We got to learn how to listen, right? When LaFleur talks at these pressers, some fans just roll their eyes and pretend like, oh, it's just coach speak. As soon as they signed Chris Brooks, they were, he was raving over him. He was like, hey, listen, he's a solid running back. He's effective at catching the ball, and he's really good in pass pro. And everybody rolled their eyes going, if he was that good, he wouldn't be on the streets. And then you see he's out snapping Emmanuel Wilson because given the situation and the flow of the game, they were leaning on the pass, and they really trust Brooks to be in there for pass protection, which, by the way, the play where Jordan Love gets lit up and he hits Christian Watson, one guy you'll see step up in pass pro was Josh Jacobs. Did you see that? He stuck that dude right in the chest, man.
Yep.
So you're seeing Josh Jacobs' pass blocking start to improve as we get into the second half of the season here. Romeo Doubs with 36 snaps, so he had the most of any wide receiver. Christian Watson was second with 31. You love to see it. Jaden Reed, 26. And the reason that Jaden Reed's snaps were down, in my opinion, we were in 12, a little more than we expected. So he's obviously on the field for some 12, but he's on the field for all 11 personnel for the most part. Dontavion Wicks was sitting at 16, then Bo Melton at 5, Malik Heath at 3. Now, if you climb back up, look at Ben Sims, 17 snaps. Obviously, John Fitzpatrick got 3 snaps, so they're a little spell there. Not sure what happened, but Ben Sims is definitely tied in too until Luke Musgrave comes back. And who knows, he may hold on to it too. We've got rights to him next year as well. Definitely want to see Ben Sims back on this roster, no doubt about that. But anything stick out to you here as far as the offensive snap count, Tim?
Yeah, I think when you look at some of the guys on the lower end, Brooks, Bo, Fitzpatrick, E. Wilson, Malik Heath. It took everybody to get this dub, and sometimes you got to put guys in and give guys a breather, and that's why they just get a few snaps. Like you said, they chose to use Chris Brooks more in the pass game. It's a situational thing. If you look at the 3 snaps, it'd be fun to break down and see really what Emmanuel Wilson did with his 3 snaps, because if memory serves me correct, he had a couple of really good runs. They chose to use Emmanuel Wilson there in the run fits to give Josh Jacobs a little bit of a breather, and he answered the call. I still think Emmanuel's a great runner, not as much of a threat in the passing game as maybe Jacobs or Chris Brooks, but running back 2 right now, until we figure out what's going on with Marshawn Lloyd here, best of luck with the appendicitis recovery. I think Brooks and Wilson are your running back too, collectively. We're running back by committee here when it comes to everything beyond Josh Jacobs. And I think you talk about complementary football. We saw a lot of that yesterday with some of these guys that didn't have high snap totals, but they played meaningful football when they were on the field. Even Malik Heath had some great blocks in those three snaps that he did play. So everybody, from top to bottom on this roster is contributing. And, we live and die as a team, and we lived yesterday.
Yeah. Not by much, but we lived. We live on.
It's a win, baby, right?
Defensive snap count. Quay Walker, 72. Xavier McKinney, 72. Evan Williams, 71. Keyshawn Nixon, 71. Carrington Valentine, 64. Edgerrin Cooper, 53. That's the big number there. Javon Bullard, 52. Kenny Clark, 47. Rashawn Gary, 46. Kingsley Enagbare, 41. We kind of hit on that already. Those are your 2 top edge defenders, it seems like right now. Devontae Wyatt, 35 snaps, TJ Slayton 34. I am so excited about TJ Slayton getting more snaps. I hope that continues, that they kind of show a more balanced rotation, getting him involved, because believe it or not, he's got one of the higher pressure percentages of the interior defensive linemen on this team. It's really, really impressive what he's been able to do in the pass rush, because we expected him just to be a 34 nose when they took him. You switch from a 34, you immediately think him and Jonathan Ford probably don't have a place on this roster, but TJ Slayton, man, obviously getting the sack yesterday was huge there. And when it mattered toward the end, right? Him and Gary. Now, I know they end up converting on the 3rd and 20 or whatever it was, but man, did Gary and Slayton show up there in the fourth quarter with those sacks. Carl Brooks with 30 snaps. Lucas Van Ness got 25. Brenton Cox Jr. with 22. Isaiah McDuffie with 19. Eric Wilson with 13. The only one I disagree with here is Eric Wilson.
Yeah.
Why Isaiah's still getting more snaps than him, I really don't understand, Tim. How do you feel about that? Do you disagree with me there? Because I feel like Eric Wilson, if it were up to me, guys, and listen, this may only last a week. He may go out there and in 1 week, full snaps, getting 50-some snaps, Eric Wilson might not be cut for it, right?
Right.
I would much rather see Edgerrin Cooper have all of Quay's snaps, Eric Wilson have the second most snaps, and then Quay be third. That's just me personally. But as far as Eric Wilson here, do you agree you want to see him get more snaps?
Definitely. And I'm not a Zay McDuffie hater. I love his game as well, but Zay is your guy for the run fits. He's not the. If you look at some of the ones where we asked him to cover, he was there. He wasn't like lit up, beat bad, but he's allowing completions and he's late back to the ball carrier. You don't see that as much with Eric Wilson and Quay. I think Eric Wilson's a little bit more versatile. He's definitely effective in the run and in the pass game. So I would totally agree with that. The consensus is, Cooper's here to stay. What are we going to do with Quay now? And, I don't think Quay should not see the field anymore. I think we might be at the beginning of that transition where we start to see a little bit more of Eric Wilson and a little bit less of Quay Walker. And again, we've got Tyron Hopper waiting in the wings as well. There's depth in this linebacker room, and it'll be real interesting to see how this plays out going forward.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. We got breaking news here. Badger Trio breaks it. Says that breaking news, Mark Murphy is going into the Packers Hall of Fame next July. And I don't know if he's kidding or what, went to Twitter, and sure enough, here we go. Packers Hall of Fame tweeted out, Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame, Inc. will induct Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy at the 2025 Hall of Fame induction banquet. So Mark Murphy is going into the Packers Hall of Fame immediately upon obviously having to step down for age reasons. But Tim, pretty cool. We were just talking about him, man. My man's going to be in the Packer Hall of Fame. It's well-deserved.
I love it. I hope they got this video on loop there on the display.
65%.
65%. That's what you go through the Packer Hall of Fame, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they got lockers set up, and you got a phone that you can pick up, and you push a button, and it plays it's almost like the NFL Hall of Fame voice, and it's kind of talking about the highlights of their career. You go to Mark Murphy's, you pick it up, and it just 65% on loop, man. It's absolutely awesome.
I'm with Drew D here in the chat. Easiest induction decision ever. Exactly. Well said.
Definitely. Completely agree, man. So shout out to Mark Murphy, obviously getting put into the Packer Hall of Fame there and all the work he's done, man. And listen, I'm excited to see what Ed Policy does. For those of you who don't know about Ed Policy, do a little bit of research, study on him. I think it was his dad that was the president of the 49ers during those dynasty years, where it was him and Bill Walsh and obviously Eddie DeBartolo, I think is how you say his name, an owner that came in and completely revamped the San Francisco 49ers organization. Ed Policy was a big part of that. Or Ed Policy's dad was. So you're getting someone who's a football guy. This is the perfect example, Tim, we talk about, like the McCaskey family down in Chicago.
Yep.
They don't have, like, Ed Policy would be the perfect person to go in and try to take over the Chicago Bears and run it for them, right? And the same thing with Mark Murphy. They took a former player, Mark Murphy. He led the league in interceptions one year. I think he had a Super Bowl ring, if I remember correctly.
He played safety, right? Was he a
safety? Big boy. Yeah, it's funny. Everybody looks at him like this old bumbling idiot, and it's like, boy, you have no idea. He'd knock your head off back in the 80s. So you took a former player who went to Northwestern and took over, I think, as the athletic director, I believe.
Yep.
So he had this, and I think he's also, I want to say he's got a law degree. I could be wrong. Sharp as
No,
a
that's
freak.
true. I believe he does. Yep.
So you take a football guy, football experience as a player, football experience running an organization, albeit a college, institute in the athletic department, and then stepping right in and taking over the Green Bay Packers, and now him handing it over to our boy Ed Policy. It's going to be awesome. Drew D in the chat. Yep, he has a law degree. So it's just amazing how people, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're like, oh, he's a bumbling idiot. And it's like, boy, this dude has accomplished more in your life, more in my life than I'll ever in my life.
Yep.
And we're sitting there acting like you don't know what the heck he's doing. He's definitely a football guy. So shout out to Mark Murphy getting into the Packers Hall of Fame. And thank you, Badger Trio, for bringing that to our attention, man. Anytime you guys see something like that, throw it in the chat for me. We appreciate y'all for that. So let's see what else we got here real quick. In the chat, we'll wrap up in the chat here. IROC, is this the last season we see Ja as a Packer? It broke my heart hearing he got pulled out of the game. Yeah, he got pulled out for the knee injury. Never say never, but never. The reality of his contract is the majority of the guaranteed money is pretty much gone. So if he's wanting to have another bite at the apple, it's probably not going to happen in Green Bay. I could be wrong. They love him. What I'm saying is if he wants to get more guaranteed money, restructure the contract, get more guaranteed money, it would really, really have to benefit the Packers in order for them to do that. That's just my personal opinion.
Yep.
There's no doubt that Jeff Hafley loves him. There's no doubt that Coach LaFleur loves him. But we know how it is, Tim. We've seen it. We've seen this movie over and over and over again on loop. They get rid of players 1 year. They'd rather get rid of players 1 year too early than 1 year too late, right? And if I had to put money on it, let me put it this way. I would say Ja's coming back next year. But judging by the contract and the money you could save, there's a chance he doesn't. I'm going to pull that contract up real quick, but you give me your take on it, man.
Yeah, I think it's something you have to look at that DB room, right? And if Ja's not here next year, who's stepping up into that role?
Right.
As far as that leader, is it CV? Is it we know it's not going to be Eric Stokes, right? We haven't seen Kalen King. Do we draft another corner in the draft next year? There's a lot of variables. Do we make a free agent signing? Do we make a trade? I don't know. I will say this, for all the heat that Ja has caught in recent memory for missing time, here's a guy who I'm convinced pregame basically begged the coaches to let him play. And he tried to go out there and do it. And, we only got 10 snaps out of him. He just couldn't do it anymore. If anything, it shows you just how serious that knee really is. It's not a nagging issue. Something's going on there that's keeping him from the field. And, you want to see a guy do that. You want to see a guy go out and leave it all on the field and at least try and make a go of it. He was a late scratch before the bye against the Lions. He tried to go then. They held him out. This week they let him go. We got 10 snaps. You can't really put that on Jair. Injuries happen. You love to see the fight. But I think when it comes to looking forward, things, IROC's right, man. It's a great question because things could be kind of up in the air. I'm with you, Clayton. I think my gut says he stays a Packer. If there is a restructure, it's going to be Green Bay Packer friendly and less Jair Alexander friendly. I think Ja's already got the bag. He's got money. He won't be worrying about funds for the future. But I also know that Ja loves being a Packer, man. He really does. And he carries the G. And I'd love to see him back. But, this is a business. And money talks, BS runs the marathon. Feelings don't matter. So we got to look at, the tail of the tape here and see how it's going to break down. But I certainly, as a Jair fan, hope that he's back next year. But I can totally understand if things go the other way, right? Yeah,
definitely. And when we look at the contract here's basically what you got, guys. Obviously, 2024 under contract. He's got 3 more years. Well, 2 years and avoidable years. So he's under contract for the Green Bay Packers in 2025 and 2026. He's got 1 voidable year in 2027, which is carrying a cap proration of $2.3 million. So essentially what these numbers mean, let me break it down into layman's terms. If you want to move on from Jair Alexander next year, his cap hit is $25.8 million, but his dead cap is $19 million. So what you're going to do is free up $6.8 million in cap space if you just cut him out right next year. Okay. So what happens is that voidable year cap hit will accelerate to the current year. that you cut him. Okay. So if you want to put it on 2025 or you can put it on 2026, much like we did with Zadarius Smith a couple years ago. I think we did that where we kind of carried that. No, Devontae Campbell. We did this last year. You kind of pushed it on into the next year. You can do that as well. But if what it comes down to is Jair Alexander worth freeing up $6 million in cap space? That's the big question. I can see the argument for both sides. The fact that he's played less than 50% of the games, since signing that new contract, that's tough. That's a tough sell for me because accountability and availability are the two most important abilities.
Can't make the club in the tub.
Now, let's say that, like I said, my money would be on he would return next year, but then 2026 you're looking at an out, right? If you bring him back next year and in 2026 you cut him, the dead cap is only $10.7 million with that acceleration of the 2.3 in proration. So essentially what you're going to be able to do, the cap hit was going to be $27.8 million. That cap hit will go down to 10.7, allocating for the dead cap and the acceleration. You're going to free up over $17 million, $17.1 million in cap space if he's not back in 2026. Now, the other route you could take, and this is, let's say the Packers are leaning towards, all right, we're not going to bring Ja back, or we can't bring him back for the cap hit we got. You go to him and you ask for a negotiation. And here's how you would approach that. Let's say you go into next year and go, all right, here's the deal, Ja. We want you back, but not at the 25.8. Okay. So your base salary is 16.1 million next year. Your workout roster, we'll just leave that in place. So let's work with the 16.1. We can either cut you outright, okay, and all you're getting is the guaranteed money that you've already gotten, or we can shave that 16.1 in half. And here's how we can do it. What if we set your base salary at $4 million and we cut you a check for $4 million in signing bonus? So we go ahead and turn $4 million of that base salary into signing bonus. We'll write you a check today for that, and we can lower your cap. Because what they can do then, Tim, if they shave off $8 million off of that 16.1, then you can then spread that $8 million over the next 2 years, including the voidable year, right? So what you're going to do is free up $8 million in cap space. Actually, you could free up as much as probably 10 or 15 million if you want to get real aggressive with it. So if they want him back, that's probably the approach they'll take. But if they cut him outright and say, we just want to wipe our hands clean and move on, then you're probably going to move on to this next one. Let me see here. Adam Block said, we need 2 corners next offseason. You'd be kind of approaching it that way. Tim, you remember this past offseason, one of the top needs that we had labeled on this team was cornerback, was it not?
It sure was.
We thought they were going to take a corner in the first 3 rounds. Yeah, I mean, as sure as we're sitting here. And we were wrong.
When did we got a corner in what was Kalen King, 7th round?
Yeah, right. And he hasn't even seen the field hardly at all, if any, this year, right?
And most of the other corners we have, like, Rob Rochelle and, it's like those are special team guys. We are going to need, a man-to-man corner or a good zone corner, coverage corner, at least one. And I think Adam's right, probably 2.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, when we do that, we're going to do it again this offseason. This show goes 365 days a year. We weren't saying this is what the Packers are going to do. We were saying this is what we would do. And listen, we're always going to bow to the Packers, and they've got way more great football minds that are on this stupid little show. This show sucks. We talk about it all the time. But looking back now, Tim, I feel comfortable saying we should have gotten a corner. We should have spent a little more on a corner because Eric Stokes didn't pan out like they expected. Jair's been hurt most of the year, right? You've got a 7th-round pick in Carrington Valentine you're trying to put out there. You're trying to put your slot corner on the boundary, which I think he's played fairly decent, just me personally. And you've got the safety that you drafted. You could say, well, there's a corner, Clayton. He's playing slot. It's obvious that wasn't their plan going into the season because he started the season as the safety, right? So
yeah, and Javon Bullard, I'm going to say it. I love his style. I love the way he plays. I love him more as a safety than a slot corner. But we have the Evan Williams factor, right? And you want Evan Williams on the field, and that's where he's going to play. You've got Xavier McKinney. That guy's not going to be – you're going to have to get the Army to take that guy off the field. So it's tough. We're kind of – you're kind of in a roster lock, right? You're kind of between a rock and a hard place when it comes down to it. But I don't think we'll see an outright release, right? You think the Packers would really cut and run from Jair altogether? I think they would at least try to do a restructure or try
or
and
a trade, right?
yeah, something. I don't see an outright release. But then again, we never thought we'd see that with Aaron Jones, and that happened as well. So
Listen, if you're willing to trade Rasul Douglas away, where the amount of money, the production he was getting versus the money that he was on the cap for, you're willing to trade him. I think they'd be willing to trade Ja, but you got to be careful because the second that you mention you're going to trade Ja, and listen, Rasul came out of left field, right? We didn't expect him. Same thing with Preston Smith. There was nobody the week of going, they're going to trade Preston Smith. So when they do it quick. And it means someone comes and offers them without them, quote unquote, shopping them, right?
Yep.
And that could be the case too. If it happens, it'll happen fast. Again, I don't know really where I stand, Tim. I would be okay with Ja coming back and giving it one more shot. And if you get the same year you got this year, then you cut bait and move on. But also I can see the kind of what Drew's saying here. We're going to have to bring in a new corner if we let Ja walk. And then he points out there's a bunch of cornerback talent in the draft. There is. And maybe you can get a few draft picks for Ja and be able to climb up in the draft and get a solid corner. Who knows?
Yep.
Again, that's all the stuff we'll be talking about that a lot this offseason for sure.
Well, either way it goes, we'll always have that game in Charlotte.
Took it down the sideline, turned over with my guys, gave the football to a little kid wearing 23.
Actually, it was in Miami.
Was that Miami? I thought that was the North Carolina game.
Unfortunately, we have Charlotte too because that's when he made himself a captain and everything. The wheels kind of came off. So. Yeah, that was in Miami when he got the pick six on Tua, right? Or at least close to a pick six.
Something like that.
He took it all the way back. But yeah, it feels like it was decades ago now, don't it, man? It sucks getting old. It is. But thanks for bringing it up, iRock. I think it's a good conversation, man. Last couple comments, we got to get out of here. Quay to the edge says, Coach Lynn, I would be okay with it, Coach. Who knows, man? He might pop there, right? Just let him kind of get after the quarterback.
That's why I started that one because that's a great point from Coach Lynn. Like,
try to,
the worst idea, right?
I'm not saying try to pay him like a top edge or anything, but like implement him into the rush a little bit now that Preston's gone. And get air and again he could still be that stack backer that comes in behind Edgerrin Cooper and Eric Wilson. But guys, listen, the snap count, it's like we always say, you want to find out where someone's priorities are, look at their checkbook and their calendar. You want to know where the Packers' priorities are, look at that snap count. And Quay is still getting 72 snaps, so they see him much more valuable than we do. There's no two ways about that.
That's that first round draft pick that we're going to hang on to real tight, right?
Yep, that's exactly right, man. It kind of feels like Savage all over again. It really does. Drew D in the chat says, did Ryan have a good PFF grade again? We haven't got the PFF grades yet, Drew. They should be dropping probably around noon. Typically is when that happens for the 1 o'clock games, for the Sunday before. But we will have the PFF grades tonight on PTA Live as Victory Monday will roll on. So we'll see you guys and gals here for that this evening. Tim, anything else you want to hit on here before we wrap up, Bo?
No, the Bears still suck. We got the dub. All is well. Victory Monday. It feels good, right? We haven't had a Victory Monday in a while. We had the bye week. We had a loss going into the bye. Hey, we got a division win finally. I don't care how ugly it was. We got a division win. That is gonna matter down the stretch. And like I said, everything's primed for these last two divisional matchups to grind out the end of the season. It's gonna be another hell of a ride down the stretch. So go Pack, go! And looking forward to tonight. Victory Monday continues.
Yeah, we'll have Victory Monday continuing tonight with the PFF grades. And tomorrow we'll be doing a Chalk Talk Tuesday, breaking down the top plays, what happened, why did it happen, all that good stuff. So we'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Central for all that. Give a shout out to Cheddarhead being a member for 2 months, Badger Trio with the Super Chat, iRock with the Super Chat, and Cheesehead Murph being a member.
Murph.
Murph, if we ever do a Mount Rushmore of listeners / viewers, Murph and Eric Sutherland are the first two at the top.
Yep.
No doubt about it. So
absolutely.
Probably Bates too. Bates has got to be there too.
Yep.
Those are the three, so we might have spot for one more. I don't know. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Help me out here, Tim.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go. Enjoy this Victory Monday.